Running a business shouldn't feel like an endless uphill battle, but for most small and medium business owners, it does. You're constantly pulled in all directions, trying to keep your team happy, your customers happy, and the money coming in. All whilst wondering when you're actually supposed to have a life alongside owning your business. Most small and medium business owners feel stressed, stretched, and quietly unhappy, waking up every Monday morning feeling demotivated. But what if the problem isn't your work ethic? It's the way you're thinking about your business. In this video, I'm going to show you how to think about your business in a different way so that you, your team, your customers, and your bank account all win without you being the one that holds it all together. Let's dive in. Very open about the fact that I closed my first business during COVID because of myself. I got stressed, I got burnt out, I lost my motivation, I didn't want it anymore. And this was a perfectly good business that was growing in revenue and profit. We had happy customers and a happy team. So when I closed that business, I came to this point in my life where I was like, okay, what do I do? Do I just go into having a job or do I start a business again? I didn't want to own a business that stressed and burnt me out again and led to me sacrificing my life. I also knew that because I'm entrepreneurially minded, I'd never be happy in a career, which led me to one simple conclusion. I need to figure out how to own a business and actually enjoy the process. So I looked back at my first business and thought, what went wrong? One of the key fundamental mistakes that I realized I've made compared to very successful entrepreneurs is I hadn't thought about the core four and I hadn't designed my business around the core four. So in any business, there are four key relationships that all work together in an ecosystem to keep the business thriving and growing. Okay, so the core four relationships are the owner, the team, the customers, and the bank account on the bottom line. So you need all four of those to feel like it's a win-win. And when all four of those feel like a win-win, the business grows, thrives, continues to go. The mistake I made in my first business was I neglected myself. I started just telling myself, I want to make this thing amazing. I want to create great work for my team. I want to make change the lives of our customers. And I didn't think about what I wanted from it. So I created a business that was heavily dependent on me and convinced myself that there was no way that this business could ever work without me. Now, in the short term, that was a benefit for the business. I was doing a lot of work. The business was getting all of my time, effort, energy, and passion. It wasn't having to pay me a lot because I wasn't paying myself enough. So that was positive for the cash flow of the business. But in the medium to long term, that was negative because I convinced myself that I'd built this jail that meant that I could, yes, have meaningful work and make a difference to people's lives, but I couldn't take any time off. I couldn't go on holidays. I had to solve all problems when they arise. So in the short term, the business did work for me, but in the long term, it didn't. That led to me getting stressed and burnt out, which led to me closing the business. So what you've got to do with your business from day one or from today, from the moment you're watching these videos, you've got to think about those four. You've got to think about your team. You've got to think about you. You've got to think about the bottom line and your customers. How is my business a no-brainer win-win for all four of these parties? And pretty much any business that is struggling, you can go in and ask this question and you'll very quickly find obvious answers and solutions. Many businesses are set up to be a win-win for the owner, but not for the team. So they've got constant recruitment issues, constant staffing issues. Many businesses are set up to be a win-win for the bottom line, the owner and the team, but not for the customer. We're not delivering a very good service. Maybe we're very good at marketing, but we're not very good at delivering. So we've got constant client retention issues, which affects the bottom line. Lots of businesses where the owner's not very confident or not very savvy are set up to be a win-win for the customer, but not for the owner and for the team because we're not charging enough. So we can see that most of the issues we face in businesses can be identified by thinking about the core four. Now, it's really important that you think about the core four because business should be enjoyable. The whole point in starting, owning, and growing a business is for it to contribute to your life. And the only way it's going to be enjoyable and rewarding and stand the test of time is if it works for the core four. And remember, you are one of them. So if you're not doing that, if you're not thinking about sensibly, selfishly about your business and how it's going to work for you, eventually it's just going to turn into this thing that you don't enjoy, feels like a job, and stresses you out. This is why the data and statistics, at least in the UK, show that the majority of small and medium business owners, over 50%, work crazy hours, don't get paid enough, feel stressed, and have poor mental health. And that's because you're not thinking about regularly throughout the year and throughout the journey of owning your business, how's this thing going to work for me? One of the key things that we need to drill into our minds as business owners is that our businesses have to work for us. They have to make us happy because when we're happy, we're the best versions of ourselves. When we're not happy, we get tired, we get drained, then we can't be the best version of ourselves for our businesses and our businesses suffer. So your business should make you happy. It's very easy as a business owner to go from startup where you just work crazy hours and get the thing working into survival mode where we've made the thing work, built a team around us, taken on these costs that we didn't think about at the beginning, and then we drift into this mode where instead of being driven by goals and a vision about how the business is going to work for us as well, we just get stuck in survival mode, used to the business being reliant on us. Everything starts to feel a bit flat and a bit boring. We start being demotivated to go to work on Mondays, and we only make changes in the business when we have to because we've got letters coming for tax, letters coming for VAT. We're not making enough money. We're trying to pay national insurance. Then we're like, okay, now I need to react to survive. That's no way to run a business, right? We have to get into, how's this business going to be a win-win? What do I need to do to make the business a win-win for me as well as my team? And then we shift from just making actions to be in survival mode to making actions and taking actions to actually have a business that we enjoy. What are the common mistakes that business owners make that lead to one or more of the core four? Well, this all depends on the mindset of the owner, but I'll start with my personal example. When I had my first business, a CrossFit gym, I made the mistake of thinking that I was doing my customers a favor by keeping our prices low. And in the short term, that feels like a nice thing to do. Like, I'm making the service as affordable as possible and available to a wider audience. And I base that pricing based off kind of market average, which is a terrible strategy for pricing as well, by the way, but that's a separate video. So I was thinking, by keeping my prices low, I'm doing my customers a favor. But actually what I was doing was devaluing the service they were getting. Yes, they liked it because it was low price for what it was. But what it meant was I was screwing over the bottom line, screwing over the team because they couldn't get paid the wages they deserve. And I was screwing over myself because I had a business that wasn't able to pay me anywhere near what it should pay me. So by thinking that I was doing my customers a favor, I was actually screwing the rest of the business. I was favoring one of the core four at the detriment of the other three, which doesn't work. It makes the business unsustainable. So that's one thing. That can also come down to a confidence piece in charging, right? I think a lot of business owners actually have confidence issues with money and charging what we're really worth. That's one example. Another example is hairdressers. A hairdresser comes into your business and they rent a chair. A lot of the time, we're not thinking about how to make it a no-brainer for them to stay with us. We're just taking the rent from them and getting what we want from it. Then you have this consistent issue where your hairdresser comes in, they rent a chair, they build up a customer base, and then they leave and they take the customers with them. So we just haven't made it a no-brainer, obvious win-win for them to stay with us. We've got to think about that because otherwise we're always going to be banging our heads against the wall, asking the same question. A lot of the time, us owners, we are willing to work crazy hours at the start of our business, maybe for the first few years, right? We're very passionate, future-driven. We're willing to delay gratification as business owners. So we're willing to work these crazy hours at the start and do a little bit of everything, have our fingers in all the pies. As our businesses go on and we age and we start to change in our mindset, we start to not find that cool anymore. We're like, oh, I didn't mind doing this at the start, but it's starting to feel like a drag. And we start asking these questions like, is this really worth it? I've got all the stress of owning a business. I'm working all the hours of owning a business and I don't get paid holiday. I've got to do all the admin. I've got all the stress of dealing with the team, all the stress of dealing with the customers. I have to be reactive. And I kind of feel like it's not worth it. I could get paid pretty much the same job without half of the stress. That's because we're not thinking about what we want from our businesses and we're not willing to be sensibly selfish. As your business develops, you have to think about what you want. Normally what happens for owners is we get to a point where we want more money and more freedom to make it all worth it. And that is a perfectly reasonable thing to expect, but we have to keep it a win-win because if we feel like our business isn't working for us, we'll get resentful towards our businesses, we'll get fed up with our businesses, we'll have low motivation, then we haven't got the motivation to drive the business and grow it to what it needs to be, then our business stagnates, isn't enjoyable for us as owners, isn't enjoyable for our team, and doesn't adapt. And that's where most business owners get trapped. It's why there's such poor mental health amongst small and medium business owners, and why 80% of small and medium businesses that get listed for sale never sell, because we're just stuck in a rut with these businesses and we're not making businesses that can work without us. We're keeping them dependent on us. You can see how we could easily make simple mistakes that lead to the business not being a win-win across that ecosystem. Let's say that you look at your business and you realize it's too dependent on you. You haven't got the bonus structure set right for it to be a win-win for the team, or it's not a win-win in regards to your pricing. So, you're not pricing in a way that's profitable for you to deliver the level of service that you're delivering. That's okay. That's a normal part of business. Like, most business owners don't start with the perfect business model. A lot of us haven't got years of business experience behind us. So we start with a model that's probably not going to work to scale. It's the old saying, what got you here won't get you there. That's perfectly fine. We've just got to be willing to lean in and go, okay, that needs to change. And if you're looking at your business model, because I know this from my first one, with my first business, our pricing was less than half of what it needed to be to fulfill the model that we wanted to fulfill. So we had to look at it and go, we need to double our prices, which is really scary, right? And that you've got this stuff in your mind as a human that's saying, avoid change. If you change stuff, everything's going to go wrong. Our minds try to talk us out of change, and this is particularly true with our businesses and our business models. We tell ourselves horror stories that nobody's going to buy from us. All of our existing customers are going to leave. Our team aren't going to like us if we put our prices up, whatever it might be. We have this temptation to keep everything as it is, even though it's not working for us. So we end up in these businesses that we resent and don't enjoy, and we feel flat. You've got to ask yourself your question when you're doing this. You've got to ask yourself the question, what's going to happen if I change nothing? Okay, I've got this fear that if I do change the stuff, it might all go wrong. But what's going to happen if I don't change? And 9 times out of 10, the conclusion you'll come to is your business is going to close down. If you don't make the changes you need to change, your business is going to close down. What's the outcome of that? Your customers no longer get that service. Your staff no longer have their job. The tax man doesn't get the money your business is generating. Everybody loses, okay, just because of our fear of going into the unknown. So you probably need to change your business. That's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. You probably need to make changes to make it a win-win for the core 4, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. It just means that you've gone through a learning experience, and you have to make those changes, otherwise your business will close. So make sure that you're using that kind of future thinking versus the fear-based thinking to make decisions. The worst thing you can do is stay stuck in a business that isn't a win-win for the core 4, because it will not reach its potential and will close without you getting paid what you deserve for all the time and effort that you've put into owning this business. So one of the most common challenges when it comes to making your business a win-win is, as the owner, get to the stage where you no longer want to be in your business all day, every day. But you might tell yourself that the business only runs well when you're there, and you might find yourself asking the question, how do I create a culture where my team are not just performing, but actively improving the performance of the business without you having to drive it? We need to change the way we think about our business in order to make that happen. So your job at this point of business has to step away from being the driver of all action. Now, when you started your business, and probably for the first few years, that was what your job was. You drive the action, you make things happen, you are the catalyst for activity, and you inspire and motivate people. You have your fingers in everything to get it off the ground. Now, that strategy worked well whilst you were happy being heavily involved in the business and having your fingers in everything. But now, very normally and rightfully so, you crave some freedom from the business. You have to answer this question, how can I make the team actively want to improve the business, not just do their job without me? So the first thing is you have to create intention. And the way that you create intention in your business is through clarity and values. The clarity you create through things like a vision statement and a mission statement gets everybody on the same page around what are we here to do. And your values tell everybody in your business the way that we go about it that keeps alive the culture of this business. Without those two things, people end up doing the minimum required to not get fired because they've got no direction, and you can't keep your culture alive through your values. So the way that this has been happening in your business is you've been there. The vision comes from your mind, from being around you. People are getting an idea around where we're going, your little cues every day. You've just got to get into the habit of making sure that you've got a vision in your business and that everybody knows what that vision is. And this should be a 1 or 2 sentence thing, not a 10-page document. So we need a vision, we need a mission statement, which is how it is that you're going to go about your vision. Now, you might be listening to this and going, how do I do that, Mike? We've got free downloads. You can answer questions on ChatGPT and it will tell you what your vision and mission statement is. This no longer needs to be a difficult or complicated process, but we've got to get it out of your head and to the team in a way that they understand. This is when you create a business that can not only work without you, but that can sell and scale way beyond even when you're alive. You can create a business that stands the test of time because it's got a strong vision and mission statement. Then we create targets. This is a thing that I think business owners are terrible at. Small and medium business owners especially. We have to get the vision, and then we have to get into the habit of communicating targets and outcomes, not tasks, to people. And if you're a small and medium business owner and you're feeling a bit stuck in the business, I'd be willing to bet money that your team haven't got clear targets. You're communicating tasks to them, you're telling them what you want them to do, or you're saying things to them like, which are the worst goals you can ever have in business, which is more, better, growth. These are not clear targets. These are just general statements that say what we're doing isn't good enough, I want you to do more. And that creates a crappy culture where nobody's ever happy, including you. Okay, so you've got to create clear targets and clear outcomes. That's the only way that you can create a culture where people are motivated and know if they're doing a good job. Without clear targets and clear outcomes, nobody knows if they're doing a good job. It's never good enough what is being done because there's always room for improvement, and you just have a crappy culture where nobody knows what they're doing. Your values are the behaviors that you want to see in the business that make you happy and that create the culture that you're proud of. There's no right or wrong with values, but the easy way to identify your top 3 to 5 values is you go, who's an employee that I've had before that I would never want to hire again? What is it about them that did my head in? Who's an employee that I have now or that I've had in the past that I would like to times by 10? What are the values, what are the behaviors that they display that make me happy? Find the difference between the two, find the top 3 and communicate that. That's going to be the values that you want in your company. So when you've got a clear vision, clear targets, and the values that tells you and your team, this is why we exist. This is what I want each of you to do. This is the role you play. You're going to achieve these results. And this is how I want people to behave within the culture of this business. And when you've got those three things in place, you've got a very high growth, high performance culture that's motivational and enjoyable and can work without you. Without those things in place, you step away, everything starts falling apart. So just to reiterate on that last point, I work with a lot of businesses every year, and I want to highlight the difference between a business that people actually enjoy being a part of versus a business where people just get the job done. And there's a really important thing that I want to highlight here, and that is that most small and medium businesses, even with good owners, do have a culture where people are just getting the job done. So there's 4 key things that make your business an enjoyable thing to be a part of. And the first one is being vision and mission driven. So I just said that. It's creating clarity about where the business is going. The reason that I think most small and medium businesses don't have this is because the owner starts the business with a kind of vision in their head, but it's normally a goal like, oh, wouldn't it be great if I can make this thing work? We get busy, we do a couple of years of action, we get the business to a point where it's stable, and then we forget to step back and recreate the vision. We get knocked back by the stresses of owning a business and paying all the bills and realizing how expensive it is to run the thing and run a team, and we forget to recreate a vision. So we have a business that hasn't really got a clear vision and mission. This is most small and medium businesses. If you sat there going, oh God, I haven't really got that in place, don't feel bad. This is the norm, but you can fix it. There's no way that you can have a high kind of motivation, enjoyable place to work if you haven't got a clear vision and mission, because it just feels like a job. Nobody knows where it's going. Nobody can link the work they're doing to something more meaningful and purposeful than them. The second factor is having a motivated owner. When you are the owner of your business, until you've systemized it, which is many years into business, and made it not reliant on you, the motivation levels of you, the owner, will have a direct impact on the performance and motivation levels of the team. Why is it so common that small and medium businesses have low motivation owners? It's because of what we've already talked about in this video. We've built a business that can't work without us with the current strategy we have in place. So we feel trapped in our businesses, which makes us feel demotivated and drained. And we also get sucked into loads of jobs that we don't enjoy within our own businesses. So we don't look forward to coming into work. And the only way that we can fix that is by getting sensibly selfish and thinking about, how's this business going to work for me? How can I get myself out of the jobs that I don't enjoy? How can I systemize the business without me? When you link your business to clear goals that will work for you, give you the lifestyle you want, you'll get your motivation back. The third factor of a business that's enjoyable to be a part of is clarity and identity. You know who you are, you know where you sit in the market, you know who you're not. This is a really important thing. It's really hard in a small or medium business for your team to promote what you do, to clearly communicate to your customers, if you're not clear on who you are and who you're not. What happens in most small and medium businesses is there's no clarity work been done on. We do this exceptionally well. We are not this business over here. We don't do this. This is why customers choose us. We haven't done all of that work. The staff are constantly comparing your business to other businesses, which are wide ranging within your industry, and they're not really clear on what makes you unique, who you are, who you're trying to serve, what makes you different, why you're the number one choice for your ideal client. When you do get clear on that, everybody gets motivated, everybody gets confident. And then my fourth point on a business that's enjoyable to be a part of links back into the first point, and that is direction. Now you might think, well, you've already said vision, Mike, so we've already got direction. But what I mean by direction is specific actionable goals that people can act on and see the role that they can play within that. So a vision is like a long-term statement. If you think about Oxfam, it's to end world poverty. That's a lifelong endeavor. If they just had that as their goal, everybody in the business is going to feel overwhelmed because it's very difficult to end world poverty. But what you do is break that vision down into actionable goals. Okay. And the way that you do this is once a year, you do a 2-day planning process where you turn your vision into yearly objectives. Then once a quarter, you look at those objectives and you say, right, what are we going to achieve over the next 90 days? When you do this and you give everybody targets, or eventually you put a system in place where your team can create their own targets, people have clarity, people have direction around how they're going to help you achieve the vision, so the job feels rewarding. If we don't do that, work just feels like work. We've never actually hit our target because we've only got the vision, and the only goals that we have in our head is better or more. So if you get those 4 things in place, you create an actual really enjoyable culture. So that's a vision and a mission, a motivated owner, clarity and identity, and direction through clear goals. Everything's going to feel reliant on you. It's going to feel hard to get your team motivated. You're going to feel stuck in your business. And then just my final point is always think about your money in regards to the core 4, right? So think about this, when you're thinking about money, don't just think about, okay, how much do we need to make to float? How much do we need to make to not sink? Think about the financial targets that we need to hit to enable me as the owner to have a good lifestyle and get paid what I deserve to run this business and get rewarded for all the time, effort and sacrifice I put into this business. think about what financial targets we need to hit for me to be able to pay my team the wages they deserve to be fantastic employees. What's the money that we need to make in this business to enable profit and cash flow after tax? So obviously cash flow before, but what enables us to actually have money in the bank and make this all worth it after the tax bills? So that should help you get clear on your financial goals as well. And then the final part with finances is your customer. For everybody else in your business, you're thinking about receiving. You're thinking about how do we generate enough cash for you, the owner, for your team, and for your bank account. But for the customer, we're reversing that relationship. For your customer, you're thinking, how do I make it a no-brainer for our ideal client to give us the money that we need to fulfill the others? With most small and medium businesses, the opportunity is to provide a higher level of service or product and charge more. If I go back to the gym example, because that was my first business, I had a small group training facility. If I'd have tried to compete with Anytime Fitness, then I was destined to fail, because they have the economics of scale so that they can charge a low price and still be profitable. Now, if I tried to compete with that, it just wouldn't work. And I also wouldn't be able to deliver the value they can deliver for that client. So what I need to think about with my business is, okay, who's my ideal client? My ideal client is a person that's not happy with that service and willing to spend more money to have a better level of service. Interestingly, my ideal client is also a person at a larger gym that's paying quite a lot of money, but still not getting the service they need. And my USP was we provide coach sessions, every single session, high level, combination of weightlifting, posture correction, fitness, aerobic capacity. Basically, the people that came and trained with us were going to get in the best shape of their life. And we had to price ourselves in the market significantly more expensively than Pure Gym or Anytime Fitness. But because of the value that we're giving to our clients, because they were coming to us after years of trying to get fit and healthy and just not getting anywhere because they were going into gyms and just not knowing what to do, to come and train with us where they've got a coach every session that's helping them with nutrition, that's helping them with their training, that's helping them fix their posture issues. They are more than happy to pay. I think we were charging maybe 5 times, probably more, what they were charging. They were more than happy to pay that because they wanted their problem solved. You can do this in any industry, whether you're an accountancy, whether you're a cleaning company, whether you're a product-based company. There will be a pool of clients that want a better service. They're fed up with what's available and they're willing to pay more money in exchange for a higher level of service or to have their problem solved. For most of our small and medium businesses, that's where we need to position ourselves. We need to find clients that want a better service. We need to provide that service and charge more. When we do that, we're fulfilling the core 4 in regards to finances. We're charging a way that enables your business to be profitable by charging a higher amount to a group of customers who are willing to do that to get a better result. When you think through the core 4, hopefully you've seen that through this video, it helps you think about and strategize your business in a different way and find the right strategy for you. I think you can go on the internet and find people telling you how to run your business. This is what to charge. You've got to think about, what do you want from your business? What does your team want from the business? What does your bank account need to see, and what does your ideal customers want, and how can I make it a win-win for them? It might feel like a bit of a headache at the start of that process, but I promise you that's the way that you find your ideal strategy for your business. Most business owners, and I've been there, we are not thinking sensibly selfishly about our businesses. We're thinking about the bank account. We're thinking about surviving. We're thinking about the team and paying the next lot of wages, but we're not thinking about what we want. And we end up with this beast that doesn't motivate us and it just feels like an uphill battle. To fix that, get clear on what you want, take some time away from your business, re-strategize, and you'll find the model and the strategy for your business that motivates you. And because you're motivated and your team are motivated, you'll make your business what it needs to be.